Multiple sclerosis is a common demyelinating disease that is increasingly encountered in India nowadays. Multiple sclerosis, or MS as it's commonly referred to, is a disorder that affects the white matter of the brain. Now, you all know that the brain has cells in it called neurons which control different parts of the body. These cells or neurons send their signals through long wires called axons to different organs via the spinal cord and via the spinal and the cranial nerves. Now, all these axons contain a layer of insulation over them called myelin, which helps to make the process of conduction of these electrical signals much faster and much more efficient. What happens in multiple sclerosis is that the body's own immune system starts to think that the proteins or the components of this axon or the myelin that covers the axon are foreign antigens. Hence the body synthesizes white blood cells, both what we call T cells as well as B cells, which go and attack the myelin on these axons and gradually denudes them. As a result of this, the speed of electrical conduction of impulses and signals from the brain and the spinal cord to the various organs and limbs starts becoming slow and inefficient. Hence, people start developing a wide variety of symptoms. Now, previously, MS was thought to be very uncommon in India, and in the 80s, before the advent of MRI scanners, MS was thought to be extremely rare. But with the advancements in technology and with as better and better MRI machines have come out, and as the awareness of the disease has grown, now we know that the incidence or prevalence of MS is nearly twice as much as it was back in the 1990s. So the approximate prevalence of MS is varies between about 2 to 3 per 1 lakh population. What's different about MS? MS unfortunately is a disease that affects predominantly young people in their childbearing age, especially young women and young men who are in their early 20s to 30s. Hence, this disease strikes them at the prime of their life. It robs them of the ability to become financially independent, to raise children. It interferes with their marital, financial, social abilities and imposes a significant disability burden on these patients. It makes most of them disabled in about 10 to 15 years, and it takes away the prime bit of their lives. Now, that is why MS is such an important disease. The common symptoms of MS that we see include dimness of vision in either one or both eyes, sensory abnormalities in the face or limbs, difficulty in walking, slurred or garbled speech, incoordination or tremor of hands or legs, difficulty in walking and imbalance, as well as a variety of bowel and bladder problems. So MS may start slowly or it may start suddenly. There are different types of MS, different subtypes of MS, the most common of which is called relapsing remitting MS, in which patients are suddenly struck as if like a bolt from the blue with relapses, what we call as acute attacks of MS, whereby suddenly they lose vision in either one or both eyes, have difficulty in walking, have loss of sense or strength in one limb or both limbs, have difficulty in speaking and are unable to walk or have severe incoordination. In these cases, these relapses may linger unless they are treated immediately with high dose steroids. In other cases, MS starts off very slowly and keeps progressing slowly without any definite relapses at all. In such cases, it is called primary progressive MS. There is also a very important third subset called the secondary progressive MS. That is when patients with the relapsing remitting MS, after a few years of having relapses, then they notice that in spite of being relapse free, They appear to be disease free and the MRI shows nothing new, but they slowly keep on increasing in their disability, find it increasingly difficult to walk, talk, and gradually become wheelchair bound or bed bound. Now, the natural history of MS was such in the ester years that by about 10 to 15 years, the vast majority of MS patients would become wheelchair bound, and within about 20 years, most of them would be bed bound or dead. But now, with the advent of newer therapies, there is a large or a huge silver lining to the clouds of treatment in MS. All this time we had medications which would only control the relapses, but they did not do anything definitively about the progression of the disease. But now in the last few years, a number of medications have come out, all of which offer significant hope and can potentially even stop or cure MS. Among these medications include the newer antibody secreting white blood cell targeting specific medications such as natalizumab or alemtuzumab, and also what we call as hematopoietic stem cell transplantation. The basic premise in all these modes of treatment is a rebooting of the immune system. Like I said before, the immune system of the body starts producing T cells and B cells, which are white blood cells, which start attacking the body's own central nervous system cells. Now, what these medications and as well as stem cell transplantation do is that they totally suppress the immune system and then allow the regrowth of a new variety of T and B cells which have no prior memory of their attack on the central nervous system. As a result, when the immune system is reconstituted, the new cells do not go and further attack the axons or the myelin of the central nervous system, and disease is halted. Now, with these new treatments, the promise of cure of MS is almost on the horizon. Better and better treatments are coming with each passing year, and very soon we are sure that disability with MS will be a thing of the past. But what is important to realize is that all these treatments are of use only if they are started very early in the disease. Now, the natural tendency of patients and of doctors is to start with small, cheap and low efficacy medications which do nothing but control the relapses. But that whole thinking should change. Once you change that paradigm and put it upside down, then you will realize that by using newer medications which are of higher efficacy, you can cure the disease if you can target it at the very early stages of MS itself. Thank you.